Call to order the Select Board meeting of November 18th. Please rise as we salute the flag, and please remain standing thereafter. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we offer a moment of silence for our service personnel, both here and abroad, both past and present. Okay, please be seated. Apologies for the 15-minute delay. All right, first item we have no appointments. Yay. Next, under new business, we have the Dartmouth Cultural Council, Boy George excluded, for a one-year lease agreement. And in order for them to continue to do what they need to do to renovate the building, but also in order for us to get a longer-term lease, we're going to get the one-year leases on as part of this. So at least it'll get you official, and that gives us some time to look for a longer lease being proposed at town meeting for June. So.
Thank you for the one-year lease, and thank you for helping us to look for a longer lease. It's really, really important. Last week at our building committee meeting, we have voted to postpone until that June meeting, and then we'll take the second phase and start to work on the outside during the good weather. Because if we went right now, we'd have to close and just can't do that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, so I understand sometimes, as somebody once said, good government takes a long time, but in getting the idea of the lease, this is something relatively new to the board. It'll be a short term, but we want to make sure that, you guys have a viable and at least, a good idea as to how long you're going to be there, so.
Good.
And not only for you, but for future members also.
Absolutely.
So there's no going forward that this will happen, so. All right, so what we need to do is we need to have a motion to approve the one-year lease between the town of Dartmouth and the Dartmouth Cultural Center, Inc.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by?
Mrs. Brooks.
Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Unanimous. So you got it.
Thank you.
Okay. Just also to let you know that the meeting is being recorded by DCTV, available on demand. It's live right now, but it'll also be on demand, available through the Dartmouth Community website. And all votes will be by voice unless the chair calls for a roll call vote. All right. Get this done. All right, next item on the agenda, we have the appointment to the Council on Aging Board of Mr. Eric Johnson. I believe Mr. Johnson is in the audience. So, Mr. Johnson, if you can come up to the podium, please, so that we can grill you. All right, so the big question is, why?
So I'm a resident of Dartmouth, grew up here. I have an aging mother who also lives in Dartmouth.
Careful.
I said aging, not elderly. And I'm also a financial advisor, so I work with clients, getting to that age as well. I want to make sure they have a good program and system to operate through.
Okay. All right. Board members have any questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Brooks, seconded by Mr. Mickelson. I want to flip-flop them now.
Yeah,
I'm glad someone wants to look after the elderly,
Yep.
Everybody on the
which
council on aging.
we're all part
Yeah, well,
of.
we're all there, so.
We're all age eligible for the COA activities.
All right, so on the motion, any questions?
I just say it's great for you to step forward. Thank you.
Yes.
That's my question.
Thanks for your
All right,
interest
all those in
also.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you.
Once you receive our letter giving you the approval, you'll have to go to town clerk's office, get sworn in.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, we have the appointment to the Youth Commission. Caitlin Goldsby. Caitlin, come on up and get grilled again.
We serve young and old here.
Yes. All right, Caitlin, so the big question is, why?
I think that community involvement is very important. I grew up here in Dartmouth, and I have a 3-year-old daughter who will also grow up in Dartmouth if everything goes right. And I think it's really important to care for some of the most vulnerable people in society. And that's why.
Looking at your resume, I see a very interesting part of that resume where you actually worked in Roswell, New Mexico. Did you see anything that you're not supposed to see, or the government trying to tell you?
To kill you if she tells you.
Answer that question.
You don't have to ask that question. It's just,
Look up in the sky.
yeah, really. It's one of those cute things you see every so often.
It's very
We don't get
different.
too many people whose resume says that they've been and lived in Roswell, New Mexico
Yeah.
for a while, so, but,
It's a non-alien.
okay. Board's pleasure.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson to appoint Caitlin Goldsby to the Youth Commission. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Neill. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous. Same thing, receive a letter. Once you get the letter, you'll have to go to the town clerk's office, get sworn in.
Great.
Great,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
For stepping forward.
Aye, Dolores. All right, next item on the agenda.
Somebody in the
Oh, God,
spaceship.
they're here again. The Buzzards Bay no, go ahead. The Buzzards Bay Coalition regarding 2 conservation restrictions, the Wayne Farm on Barney's Joy Road and Rasmussen on Slade's Corner Road. Come on up.
Sir. Good evening, Alan Decker with Buzzards Bay Coalition. These are the other 2 of the group of 4 conservation restrictions that were teed up to come before you this fall. As you know, the previous 2 have already been approved. These are the last 2. These would be conservation restrictions on private property here in Dartmouth, one being an agricultural property with prime soils that are good for farming use, and one right next to DNRT's Destruction Brook Reserve that helps protect scenic frontage and removes development potential from the property. I know you've seen maps of both of these properties and a brief summary for both of them, and the conservation restriction itself. Happy to answer questions the board might have, but don't want to belabor any points or be longer than need be. So, with that said.
All right, board members have any questions?
I can just comment on the Wayner Farm. I've been out of that farm many times over the years. He's a cousin of mine, Henry
Very good.
Marion. And it's a wonderful piece of property on both sides of the road.
Certainly,
yeah.
it certainly is.
And it complements this almost 200 acres of prime farmland and watershed forest. It's amazing. It's quite an undertaking. God bless.
We're happy to keep it in agricultural use,
bless,
which
yeah.
is what's going to happen.
Great. Okay.
Anybody else? All right, on the Wayner Farm, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Mickelson, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, unanimous. On the Rasmussen parcel, Slate's Corner Road,
So moved.
moved by Mr. Mickelson to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, unanimous. All right, you got him.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair. If I could, I have signature pages to hand up, if that,
We have
Have
them
him
here.
here, too.
are-
We beat you.
fair enough. Well, okay.
Be signed by Rebecca.
Yeah, understood, and I can come pick them up
copies?
in the morning
Sure.
in the office? All right, sir.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks again.
Thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too now. All right, next item on the agenda, we have a request for a temporary trailer permit, TP 2450. The address is 14 Morton Avenue. The owners are Alice and Donald Juttelstad. Hope I said that right.
No, it's
Rainy
Bortmas.
Braylon Bortness.
Bortmas.
Bortness.
yes.
Okay, that's the applicant. Okay, all right.
Oh, okay, not the owner.
The owner, I
Well,
guess, is,
we're now the owners. We bought it.
okay.
Yeah, just,
So at the
it all
time of the
just went
permit,
through,
it
so
was
it was
still,
probably
okay, got it.
before it went through. we had
Okay,
to apply.
so you're looking for a temporary permit because you're remodeling the house?
Yeah, we have to gut the whole house and put it back together. Has to be gutted, remediated, and then
Due to mold.
back.
I see because of, there's a mold report that was uploaded, so that'll be all taken care of. So basically, you're looking to gut it and still live at the property? Okay.
Yes.
And what is the time frame for the permit? What are you looking for?
We're hoping to get it done within 6 months. I'm waiting to meet with the remediator this week. Like I said, we just bought it, literally, we
Right.
just did the closing, so he's gonna come out, he said by the end of this week, hopefully, and that will give me a better idea of, once he looks at it, how involved it will be to do the remediation after all the bad materials are removed. So it's like a 3-phase kind of thing.
So the permit, you're asking for basically a 12-month, just so it fits within that time frame.
Yeah, I'm hoping we won't need the whole 12 months,
Right.
but, yeah.
Okay, all right, so I think, I'm looking at you, since you submitted the application on the 31st of October, I think if the board wishes to make a motion to approve the temporary permit and to have it expire on the 31st of October, 2025, and if you need more time, you can always come back if that's okay with the board.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. O'Neill. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Mickelson. On the motion, any questions?
None.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, none. Unanimous, you got it.
Thank you.
All right, good luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it.
Next item on the, oh, I don't have that.
DEP, why?
I think we got it on a separate thing, sorry. Next item on the agenda, we have the Mass DEP petition. Director Michaud,
Yeah, but where is
good
it?
to see you again.
Where is,
No, it's in
was it a separate piece?
Yes,
It was a separate email.
Email.
I have it, yeah, okay.
All right, so believe it or not, I did read 3/4 of that, and it just absolutely blew my mind. So, in essence, what do you need us to do?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Select Board. For the record, Christopher Michaud, Director of Public Health. So now you have the final petition letter, as well as the draft regulations. And just to keep it really short, what those draft regulations propose is to change 310 CMR 1600 from its existing status to one that requires the applicant to document more. And by documenting, we're not asking for Massachusetts to be way out in front of all the other states with composting regulations. We're only asking for Massachusetts to be alongside of states like Maryland, Alabama, and New York. Alabama, absolutely. Even Alabama has more requirements than Massachusetts for environmental protection. And they know about point source and non-point source discharges. So, Mr. Chair, if I may approach.
Approach away. I know you won't bite. Thank you.
So I can mention to you all about how many milligrams per liter we've documented in composting leachate or contact waters.
Give you mine afterwards.
But that's going to be in milligrams per liter and sound like chemistry class, which we've all been far removed from. That's a visual. What you have on each side of that one page is a picture of Diet Coke, and below that, a picture of water taken from a wetland that was impacted by composting. On the other side, you'll see two pictures. Again, the same wetland impacted waters on the bottom, and up top, a cross-gradient wetland. Need I say more about the impacts about composting on our waters? And why this is important here is just a few moments earlier, I was listening to an agenda item in which people were safeguarding Dartmouth's environmental long-term and short-term interests by putting their properties into conservation restrictions. That gets undermined when we have regulations like we have. So what we've proposed is for Massachusetts to no longer lag in our 310 CMR 1600 regs and to at least stand shoulder to shoulder with some of those states, like Maryland in particular, to advance our composting regulations to protect our watersheds.
I can tell you this right now, Mr. Michaud, you have my full and complete support on this, that's for sure. So the question that I have is, once we, if, and when I say if, because we haven't taken a vote yet, if we approve this and submit it to the state, what would be the next action from the state? Do you know?
The state will then have to hold a meeting to discuss this.
Okay.
Which this is our opportunity from, rather than me sending emails or having a discussion with Deputy Commissioner Gary Moran downstairs, it will force these issues like that picture and the chemistry type talk about what we know composting is doing to the public lens, and get DEP to address this issue, hopefully, because I don't know how they can avoid it. Especially when Massachusetts always builds itself across the board as being a leader, and we're only asking for parity with a state like Maryland.
Okay.
You had me at Alabama.
And Alabama.
That is, you're exactly right. We say one thing and we do another.
To approve and
So-
sign? Okay.
And we have it here tonight to sign?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Question?
Mr. Tattelbaum?
Has this petition been offered by any other town or city in the Commonwealth?
It has not. And, you know, it's something I've thought about. You know, I know that there are other communities that have grappled with this. It's referenced in our petition letter about Westminster and the horrors that are unfolding over there with their investigation. When I first presented this to the select board, I had mentioned this only needs to be signed by one individual in any community, and it'll advance the petition process. So at this point in time, at the last meeting, the board had asked other boards, commissions of the town to consider this. The Board of Health last week voted to sign on. The Board of Public Works next week will be discussing. And if tonight this board so moves to sign on, you know, I would have those discussions tomorrow with the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board staff. But as far as other towns, I have not reached out because of it's slowing the process
No,
down.
I wasn't
Yeah.
asking to reach out if they've been confronted with this same kind of petition from other towns.
Absolutely. I know Middleborough has faced odors. I know their residents,
Let me rephrase my question, I'm sorry. Has this petition been presented by any other town?
never. I think it's something that has really been buried, that many towns are not familiar with. And I only discovered it by just trying to keep abreast of what is going on in the current with Mass DEP as well as our legislature. There was something that I read about, and I discovered these regs and read into them. So there's no reason why a municipality or any municipality would be familiar with these.
Chris Markey will sign this, and if we put him on that list, if the need be, I'd be happy to get it to him to sign it. He will sign it.
As always, Chris, I never want to be on the other side of a letter from you. You are very thorough, and the works that you cite, the letter stands on its own. If this is the public hearing and we're giving them any more information than what you have presented, they have all the leverage they need right here in this letter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want to note that, this work wasn't done individually. As mentioned last time, it resulted from hundreds of conversations, taking that back into the town hall, and then working with the excellent and awesome staff at the health department.
All right, so basically what we wanted right now is a motion to approve the petition and to sign the petition.
Motion to approve and sign the petition.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mrs. Brooks. On the motion,
One more quick question, if I may. The red line corrections were done by town council?
Those red line corrections were done by myself, and they were not done by council. What those were was an adaptation of the Massachusetts regs to keep them as intact as possible without rewriting their regs. It was my third attempt at it, and I had two other attempts that just spun out of control, trying to keep it simple. So it was just merely trying to find a way to get those Maryland regs into Mass. And I really do believe it does it, because just to give a little bit of context of what the current regs allow, our football field, from sideline to sideline, goalpost to goalpost, what the current regs allow is that to be filled 10 feet tall with organics in 1 year without any oversight, by just merely a person filling out a form saying, I'll do the right thing. What those regs will do is require engineering safeguards to assure when you're handling that volume of material. Or to put it in a better perspective, this building, squared off, is only 1/3 of that football field. If you take this building times 3, you'll still be under the money on what a general permit will allow without any engineering, any groundwater monitoring. What those regs proposed are engineering controls to make sure that our public and private drinking water supplies are safe and our environment is protected.
The work you put in is incredible. Is there what do you see the town council role to be in this issue in this document?
to be honest with you, David, I don't think anything with town council is necessary at this time. The only reason why is
I'm not saying it is or it isn't.
No, I'm just saying, because if the regulations have to be rewritten, it's gotta go to the Attorney General's office anyway. Just to make sure, for that, because this is state regulations. So it has to go before the Attorney General's office for any kind of clarification or any kind of corrections or anything like that, just to making sure, so.
It lets them know where we expect them to be. I don't expect them, because the whole adoption process internally with DEP and going through A&F and small business reports and whatnot, I'm sure if that we get their attention, that they'll come out with their own language on it.
So town council's role at this point is moot because it's going to go through the state anyway. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Mr. O'Neill.
So, Chris, as you know, I don't want my hesitation to be misconstrued. This is, I get the attempt to try and get the DEP to come into town, and the difficulty that we've had in the past with them, as we've spoken about. So, you've spoken to Audra from Mark Montigny's office. What was the reaction to the use of the petition versus trying to get them to the table without the petition?
There hasn't been any suggestion by the Senator's office to hold back. I've given her a copy of the draft, and she has not said hold back. Because what I've expressed to her last in an email, and I have not heard back, was back in April of 23, Gary Moran coming into this building, showing him that picture, giving him the data, and saying that that was nothing more than a pacifier meeting. It's long overdue that this comes to a public discussion. We're
No,
not alone
I
in
get
this.
that, but
Yeah.
DEP has not agreed to come into the building?
DEP's been completely silent on this matter. And, the Senator's office said that, yeah, they're trying to, and the right players, and to me, really the right players are, this really needs to start at the top. It can't be the people in the region. I know that the Senator's office reached out to the region. The region are the frontline troops. It needs to be the people in the Pentagon that are making these decisions that need to be talking with us about this. And that's what this letter will do, this petition.
So just so you know, the reasons for my hesitation. I think it forms an adversarial situation with the members of DP. I know we disagree on that, but I think it can be done. I think they can be brought in the building, and this issue can be brought to a higher level with our local representatives' influence. We just got it Friday, and it's a lot. the DPW, I'd like to hear what they have to say about the proposed regulations. I mean, those are basically the reasons for my hesitation. But I get your point, you know, I hear you. I just don't see that it's going to bear fruit.
What I really expect DEP to tell us, because this is what, John Fisher told me this summer, and it's what I already knew, that they have draft regulations that have been sitting since 2022, that they talked about just before COVID. I think I heard about it in February of 2020. We're almost in February of 25, 5 years later. And those regs that they've been talking about now for half a decade, they promise, well, we'll have the ability in some instances to have the discretion to move these into what's called a higher level of permit, which that's what these regs would require. Do I trust their discretion to do that for us? No. Because when David Cressman retired from this organization, Anthony, myself, Paul Murphy, Mike O'Reilly sat in the room at the end of the hallway. We prepared a letter in opposition to an RCC permit. An RCC permit is only good for 5 years. That application still sits at DEP to this day. That land use that required that permit, that was only good for 5 years, is still in operation to this day. Still posing the same risks that scared the death out of us when we filed all of our letters of opposition to that land use. We have a property on Old Westport Road that is the cause for that opposition. So I'm not comforted, and I've been at this for a long time. I sat in Christopher Markey's office when I took this position in 2014. I presented in this room to Assistant Commissioner at MDR on some of the issues, as well as officials from DEP around 2016-17. This really, I believe, is our last resort. We've had a lot of conversations. They've gone nowhere. Because to DEP, it's more important to promote waste ban and look at those gains from the waste ban and the sacrifice of what it's doing to our watersheds and the potential for what's happening to our private and public water supplies. Because what went on in Westminster is a horror show. And I remember talking to a Songbird Acres resident and saying, is the town going to pay? I mentioned this last time. Who's paying to test my water? I'm worried about PFAS in my well. That's a great concern. I can't answer that. That testing is expensive. We do it for one, we do it for all.
Chris, I share some of your concern because this is not the only issue we're going to be going to DEP, if not the EPA as well. And I think that a lot of this comes out of the fact that they try to pin us with the cape in terms of the septic issue. And we found that it may be, and this some of you said to us last meeting, that this issue of composting could be even more of a concern than even the septic systems, the poor septic system we have now. So if we had a cover letter that went along with it, said something like, in finding out, in teaming up with the DEP to try to solve the problems in our own time, we know how important this composting is, illegal composting, and we're looking to try to fix it. We need your help. And we're making a proposal to you to try to get that done. Because Fisher told me the same thing. They have no enforcement policy. They're working on it, that was a year ago I spoke with him. They're not interested, and like you said, they're more interested in piling up and saving landfill space. So I think this is an effort from us to define our own problem and try to fix it. And with your help, we want to try to get that done.
And I find myself, Chris, in this situation a couple of times where I have the opportunity to voice my concern about the process, but we also have to show a united front on some issues also. And I don't want to detract from the issue itself. And a no vote to go forward with the petition would be a detraction, unfortunately. So I've told you my concerns. I was told that MDR and DEP would come into the building. Mr. Chair, I'll send it back to you for a vote.
What was the gentleman's name that said that they said they'd come for a meeting, or someone said they would come for
Yeah,
a
they were
meeting?
working on getting them in the building.
And what's his
but,
name?
It is,
I'll be honest with you,
Oh,
Mr. O'Neill,
not
I'll
from
be honest with
DEP.
you, there's been a lot of people working on trying to get DEP into this building for a meeting, and nothing's happened. So I don't, it's lip service. It's about time that DEP got kicked in the pants, and this is exactly what this is. It's a kick in the pants to get going, get action going, because we, as the stewards of this community, have to protect the citizens of this town. And if the drinking water is at most something that we need to deal with, and this composting issue drives straight in the heart of that issue. And I think it's very important that we need to get this done. So I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve the petition and to sign the petition indicate by saying aye.
Didn't we do this already? Didn't we vote in favor already? No?
No, we got the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Those opposed? None. Unanimous. All right, you got it.
Sir, thank you. And I just would like to just mention, MDR has been a tremendous ally. When great Jason Wentworth sat here, he was amazing. He was an assistant commissioner that put his boots on and went to a compost site. So MDR has, but they're not an environmental protection agency. DEP is. Thank you.
thanks, Chris.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have the host community agreement with Solar Therapeutics. Mr. Carrero.
So, Mr. Chair, in front of you, you have the agreement for Solar Therapeutics. Having heard from Town Council a couple meetings ago, the ramifications as the law has changed in Massachusetts, where we budgeted revenues and did not anticipated revenues and did not receive those. But I think the ramifications of not signing this agreement could be a lot, much more severe to the town's finances. So before you have the agreement.
Okay. What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Tattlebaum, seconded by Mr. O'Neill. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair opposes. 3-2 passes. All right, next item on the agenda, we have the substance use, excuse me, sorry about that. Substance Use Program Coordinator. All right, I'm going to give Mrs. Brooks the floor on this.
Okay. Before you is the Substance Use Program Coordinator. This position is something that the folks from the DART, which is Dartmouth Advocates for Addiction, Recovery, and Treatment Task Force, has worked on for over the good part of a year, trying to build a knowledge base and a consensus about what our community needs. And based on that work, we have determined that what we need is a full-time coordinator of the program who will work to ensure that the funding that is coming through the opioid settlement funds is best directed towards the programs that would benefit the town of Dartmouth community in both education, prevention, and recovery. And we have worked with Denise from HR, Gary from the Treasurer's Office, and also co-interim administrator to go over how this position works into the town as a whole, the needs of the town. And before you, this position is something that we'd like to see instituted. This is a non-union position.
It's a contracted position?
It is a town position, and we are using the opioid settlement funds to fund the bulk of the salary of this position.
So the opioid funds will be used for this fiscal year? For
Yes.
this position, and then
Exclusively.
beginning next fiscal year, it'll be a 90-10 split?
With the town, yes. With the goal over time, in honesty, over the next 10 years, to move this from a opioid focus to a general wellness focus. The substance use coordinator, as I said, will be looking to spend their energy on tracking and funding and creating the resources that we need for our town in dealing with all the pieces that can be provided through opioid settlement funding. That funding is slated to continue to Dartmouth through 2038. This position would also be looking at other grant opportunities to expand on the offerings and to generate more funding sources to continue in and perpetuate the work of this position and DART for our community.
Board members have any questions?
I'd like to just
Mr.
support,
Talabon?
I'd like to not only support the idea of the position, but also recognize the work that Mrs. Brooks put in, along with the staff and committee, to make this happen. This is a cross-town issue with the money that's available to be spent properly, be it in our schools and be it safety, fire, police, substance abuse, all over, and it's a comprehensive program that there's a lot of money will be involved over time and needs to be administrated properly, and I think it's a great way of use for the opioid funds, and we can do a lot of good for a lot of people.
Sean?
Mr. O'Neill?
Just a couple of things that stuck out for me, Heidi. Well, three. Number one, the amount of work that's gone into this. And two, the fact that this position will be involved in grant applications. And hopefully, we'll be able to sustain the position when those funds run out. Because I think it's, unfortunately sorely needed in the area, but in the town of Dartmouth. Three was the fact that the school department would have a connection here, because, the kids, you have to get them early. Everybody says you have to get them early. What are they doing?
That's our focus on the education and prevention, is to start with our students.
Right.
And hopefully they'll take messages home to their family.
Exactly, yeah. So those, the grant writing and the fact that we're going to dovetail it with the school department is a winner.
DART has worked with the school department as well as the police department, the fire departments, our youth services, youth commission, our council on aging, because the aging population does have sadly data that supports that sometimes their medication is taken incorrectly and they can find themselves in a similar position. And also Matt Dansero, who is the coordinator for outreach services. Matt is also a part of our task force, our DART task force. And so all of them come together on a monthly basis and we talk about what are the trends happening in Dartmouth. And so there's a piece of this that every department that I've mentioned sat and looked at to see where they would fit within this position and how they can access and gain the support and assistance.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
To support the substance use program coordinator position.
Is there a second? All right, motion made by Mr. Talabon, seconded by Mr. Mickelson. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None unanimous.
Thank you.
All right.
That's great. Thank you, Mrs. Brooks.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have a MOA between the town and the Mass Laborers District Council. Mr. Guerrero?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So when the board met in about last month or a month and a half ago, we did the same process for the HMEOs. And what we're doing here is the union has agreed to, laborers union has agreed to allow us to bring potential candidates in at a different scale. So we do have a couple of candidates that are waiting for that. So hopefully the board approves this tonight so we can move that process along.
Board's pleasure.
Motion to approve the MOA.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Tattlebaum. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right. Next item on the agenda, we have the ARPA remaining allocation proposal. Mr. Guerrero.
So, Mr. Chairman, as I had briefed the board at the last meeting, we still have revenue replacement funds available, some of which was earmarked for the recreation center. Having looked at the proposal that was done for the OPM, that process was not handled correctly, and so we do not want to leave this money on the table. So my recommendation is, and I've polled a few of the departments that still have some outstanding capital requests, to go ahead and use some of this money, and then once we get to move that process again for the OPM, we then go to capital for that request. I don't think it's prudent to leave $1.1 million or $1.3 million on the table when we have needs of the town directly
Use the money.
that we have to address. So my proposal tonight would be, having spoke to Jim Kiley, Assistant Superintendent of Schools, they're in need of $200,000 for the school intercom system for various schools. They're in need for $230,000 for the high school auditorium lighting replacement. They just did the sound system there. The lighting replacement is definitely needed. $150,000 for town hall copy replacements. The copiers in town hall right now are circa 2017. And lastly, $810,000 for a water main replacement from Faunt's Corner Road to Hathaway Road. And that will, that's from the highway department. We've got that information. So that will,
1290, right?
that will take up the majority of this money. And then
1290.
we can put the revenue replacement to bed.
Any questions on that?
Where does that leave the status of the recreation center project?
We do have to now go out again for OPM and do that procurement process correctly, as it wasn't done correctly.
That's not good.
Are we going to hear from the Recreation Committee that we put, that building committee? Will we hear anything from them?
Well, I guess the plan would be...
Appointed them, but I don't know what they've
Right,
done.
there were a couple meetings, and I guess there were plans submitted for some design work, but the goal is to have them regroup and talk about the plans going forward. I know it's also been part of the long-term capital planning that we have.
You think so?
But like any other project, it has to be priority-based and vetted against all the other projects that we have in town, which are, still crucial.
Absolutely.
Questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, what is it, 1290?
Correct,
Is that the number, right? Up to 1290.
for the allocated
For the
projects.
allocation approval.
The allocated
Yep,
projects.
AARPA.
All right. On the, is there a second?
Second.
On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None unanimous. All right. Next item on the agenda is a letter from the Paid Narrow Business Association regarding the streetlights, Raptor light posts. Let me just say this about that. I don't think they need to come to us every year for it. I mean, this is something that they
Out of
do.
courtesy.
I mean, I know it's out of courtesy, and believe me, I was gonna ask Peter to show the little video clip that was done by one of the businesses there.
Wasn't it so
Showing the
cute?
elves doing the
Yeah,
work. It was
yeah.
fantastic,
See,
absolutely
so
fantastic.
cute.
They can use the advertising.
I think I mean, driving by the Pay Narrow and seeing the lights is plenty of advertising.
well,
They
that's-
do a great job.
They do.
The thing
But
I
if
will
they
say.
If they want to come before us every year and ask us permission,
Yeah, let them do it.
yeah, let them, but, let's actually get the letter into us from October.
Motion to approve the village light request.
All right, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs. Brooks.
Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? Being none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. All right.
Jeez.
Signature on this one, Sean.
Yep. Okay. Next item on the agenda, we have the Northern Scenic Greenway Letter of Support.
So, Mr. Chairman, the commission there had asked the town for a letter of support. There are some pending grant applications that they could apply for. So I did write the letter on behalf of the town to submit to them. This is obviously for the scenic bike path and the project that they've got going on there. So they would be appreciative if this isn't mostly informative, but that we submit this letter on behalf of the board.
Okay. Board's pleasure.
Motion to support the letter of support.
Okay, motion to have the letter of
Got a
support
little,
sent.
a lot of support,
A
yeah.
lot of support.
Scenic Greenway.
We've talked about it before and supported it
Guess we
verbally, so
supported it
it's
again.
fine. If this is what they need, I think that's perfect.
Second by Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
All right, on the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous.
It was a close vote.
Next item on the agenda, we have the seasonal population increase estimation form from the ABCC. According to them, during the calendar year of 2025, Dartmouth's population would be increased temporarily to 31,365. Thank you very much for letting us know.
Nice.
So,
What
Mr.
we
Chairman,
already
this is
know.
just a vote, and we'll go ahead and stamp that.
We have to vote?
Yep, they need a motion to basically thank them for their work.
Well, approve.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous.
Another close vote. Yeah.
All right.
That was close.
Here we go.
Why do we have these? What's going on here?
Alcohol license renewals, just as an FYI, I have been getting the common vic licenses renewals, and they have been coming in pretty good. Generally getting about 2 to 3 a week, maybe even sometimes even more. In fact, I think I did 3 today.
Mr. McDonald, I have a
Yes.
question regarding this. All of this needs to be signed off by us before the start of the new calendar year, correct?
Correct.
All of these businesses need to submit this.
It's actually, before that, it's November.
It's November,
Yeah,
so
so-
November, this is our last meeting in November. Everybody needs to get this in, so they're getting it into, I know Melanie has spoken about the work that she's doing, calling and reminding everyone to get it in. We need to sign off on it, which gives us a couple meetings in December to
Two
sign
meetings
off.
left, right.
And if they don't do their due diligence come January
They
1st,
can't serve alcohol.
they can't serve alcohol.
Currently, there's about 50 establishments that still haven't.
Hello out there.
Yeah,
the
because
press should-
technically,
Hello? Press.
you, after January 1st, you cannot serve alcohol because there's no license, nor can you serve any kind of food if you're a common vic. If there's no license, it can't happen. But last year, or maybe it was this year, I can't remember exactly, no, it was this year, we have a penalty for common vic licenses not being renewed on time. I believe it's double the fee.
It was voted in, yeah.
So that was voted in, so,
There's always a push at the last minute for
Right.
these applicants, so.
right. So,
So get the license
but,
request.
that's the common vic licenses. Common vic licenses, this board authorized a single review done by me
Yep.
to do it, because, to be honest with you, there's really nothing involved other than saying, everybody's reviewed it, everybody's looked at it, no issues exist, and it's just a select board approval. These licenses have to be voted on by the board at a meeting. So before we get involved, before we start with this, do want to acknowledge that we did receive an update from the police department for the number of calls that was made to each establishment that does have a alcohol license, as to what kind of issue was it, whether it was an ambulance priority 1 or a disturbance. Generally, most of these are very innocuous. However, there was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 instances of an arrest of an intoxicated person or at least a call for an intoxicated person, not an arrest, and there was one OUI arrest. So relatively, out of 281 calls, that's pretty good.
Pretty quiet.
And given the fact that last year, the way that the calls happen, it's like the closest address. And we had a business last year, if you recall, that had an exorbitant number of businesses, and the police department came before us and told us that's the number we pick if we're in this general area. And I'm glad that they have found a different way
Yes.
to do this, because on the continuum, all of these are
Yeah, it's minor.
understandable.
It's minor.
Right.
Yeah, they're lucky
And I'm
it's
very pleased to see these business establishments have very few
Yeah.
calls. And
There was just one, there was one that was just, it's on the fourth page, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, where there was an intoxicated person at a specific place. It was kind of odd seeing that.
yeah, yes.
You know, restaurants I can understand, but a retail establishment, yeah. So with that, all alcohol license renewals are subject to police chief, fire chief, and directional inspectional services approval. Restaurant, all alcohol common vic license, Allendale Country Club, AMC Dartmouth Mall 11, Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar, Cask and Pig, Dave All's General Store, Fiesta Mexican Restaurant, Friendly Pizza, From the Soul, SEOUL, Gumbo Restaurant, Joe's Original, Lakesider, Little Moss, Max's, 99 Restaurant Pub, Rico's Pizza, Sail Loft, Chevrolet, Texas Roadhouse, and the Ninth Monarch.
Motion
Board's
to
pleasure.
approve.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded
Ms. Brooks.
by Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. Restaurant, all alcoholic common vic with entertainment, Chuck E. Cheese.
Motion to approve.
Yeah, that one always gets me every year. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, none unanimous. Restaurant, wine and malt beverages, common vic, quality, Cape Quality Seafood Restaurant.
To approve.
Made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs. Brooks.
Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. Restaurant, wine and malt beverages, common vic with entertainment, pickleball and more.
I was right there this morning. Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs.
Mrs.
Brooks.
On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. Club, all alcoholic, common vic with entertainment, New Bedford Yacht Club, Dartmouth Clubs, Inc., and UMass Dartmouth.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs. Brooks.
On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, none unanimous. Packaged goods store, all alcoholic, Dartmouth Market.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs.
Mrs.
Brooks.
On the motion. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous.
Do we have one more than one Mrs. Brooks here?
No, just
No,
one.
it's the same one.
Same one. Packaged goods store, wine and malt beverages. BJ's Wholesale Club, number 23, Shaw's Supermarket, Inc.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. All right. All right, interim town administrators update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Dartmouth Veterans Association will be holding their billiards tournament on Wednesday, December 18th at 9 a.m. Catered lunch will be served, and you can contact the Veterans Agent, Matt Brule, for more information and to register. The Town Hall tree lighting will take place Saturday, December 7th, from 4:30 to 5:30, with a rain date of Sunday, December 8th. There will be festivities for kids, including raffles, crafts, and games, music, refreshments, and more. And finally, Town Hall holiday schedule has been released. For Thanksgiving, the Town Hall will be closing at noon, Wednesday, November 27th, and will reopen on Monday, December 2nd at 8:30. For Christmas, the Town Hall will be closing on Tuesday, December 24th at 12 noon, and reopen on Thursday, December 26th at 8:30. And for New Year's, the Town Hall will be closing at noon on Tuesday, December 31st, and will reopen on Thursday, January 5th at 8:30. We wish everyone a safe and happy holiday season.
All right,
And that is it.
all right.
Right around the corner.
Under old business, do we have anything under Bliss Corner?
No new business.
Lake Nokichoke,
No new business.
Municipal Broadband,
No new business.
and Mass DEP Title V amendments. All right. So we have the minutes of October 21st, October 22nd, and November 4th. Board's pleasure.
Had a comment on typo,
Okay?
October 22nd, under D.
Under D.
The vote was 4-3, which is incorrect. No, I believe that was the planning board vote. D, under October 22nd.
Okay, motion was made by Margaret.
Oh, wait, I'm in the wrong one.
It does voted 4.
Yeah, no, there's only 5 members, it was 4-1.
Right, so typo.
All right, so Mr. Tattlebaum makes a motion to amend the minutes of October 22nd under D, Planning Director Recommendations and Appointment. Under the motion made by Margaret Sweet, seconded by Nick Psychopatis, it was voted 4-1 by the Planning Board to recommend Cameron Bennett for the Planning Board, Planning Director position.
Do you see it?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Yes. On the motion, any questions on the motion?
It's on page 129 of our,
This just,
Helio wasn't here,
right.
so it must have been 3-1.
3-1, correct. You're right. Helio was not there. It was a 3-1 vote. So that was.
is this vote for approval just for that meeting? Because I have a second one as well, for a different meeting.
No, that was the meeting that we actually had the interview.
No. Are we voting on
Another
Are you
correction.
voting on
another correction?
October
This is only on this
22nd?
correction,
Are we doing just the 22nd?
just on 22nd
That's the one you
right
brought
now.
up? Is there another correction in the 22nd?
Not that I have.
All right, so on the motion to amend the minutes of August 22nd to show
October.
a 3-1 vote by the planning board. Is there any questions on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. The next correction, Mr.
November 4, under F, it is a typo, but they identified Senator Markey improperly. He is a state representative.
Right, okay. So motion made by Mr. Tattlebaum to amend the motion under November 4th, under F. In the motion portion is to change the word Senator Markey's office to Representative Markey's office. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Mr. Mickelson. On the
Question.
motion, any questions?
Yeah.
What paragraph is that, Dave? I might have been referring
F.
to
F.
F, Mass DEP
Senator.
petition, correct?
Page 132. Right there. 132, it says right here, suggests that Senator Markey and State Senator.
Oh, okay, all right, so they had marked. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay? All right, so, all right, on the motion on the amendment, any further questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, none unanimous. Okay, now we have the minutes to approve as amended. We have the minutes of October 21st, 2024, October 22nd as amended, 2024, November 4th as amended, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs. Brooks.
Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. All right. Next, we have select board updates. Anybody have anything?
I have something.
Mr. Mickelson.
There's a lot of chatter going on in town about Hawthorne Country Club and what's going on, obviously, over the property. So I would like your permission, myself and Mr. Tattlebaum, to meet with the owner and his staff and find out, just for, finding a fact-finding only, just to find out what's going on there, if you don't mind. And we'll report back to you.
Okay.
I'd love to know.
It's the first time I've ever had this kind of a request. Yeah.
Well, rather than
Yeah.
go behind somebody's back, I think it should be
Well,
done
yeah, no,
properly.
I understand.
And if
I
we
just want to make sure I
identify-
want to handle this correctly.
And we're
without,
not going to, we're going to
anybody-
identify ourselves as select board members, and so we need your blessings to do that. I think that would be the proper way to do it.
Okay. So this will be basically an unofficial, official
Yeah.
meeting?
Yeah, sort of. Where's everything going here?
Okay. All right, I think, I don't have a problem with either one of them meeting or both of them meeting at the same time. Does anybody have any issues with that? Okay, so you basically, unofficially, you
Yeah,
can meet
and
with them.
when we finally meet, we'll come back and
Okay,
tell you what's going on.
okay, great. All right, anybody else have anything?
I have a comment.
Bob?
A couple, last meeting, or the meeting, I was given the support to visit with the Mayor Mitchell in New Bedford, and I was able to meet with him. Rob Almy, Chair of the Department of Public Works, who I mentioned as well. I thought it was very positive. He's a man with a big job, with lots of problems, but we covered 3 issues, and I just want to go over one in particular. And I want to I want to put this on an agenda for a future meeting, but I just need an update because I need some help on one issue. We did talk about drinking water and the purchase of drinking water, and that's Rob Almy is taking that back to his board. And I think the mayor I think we made some headway as to what we might be able to do, but that's the board that's going to take that one on. As you know, we pay a small fortune for the water we buy from New Bedford, but we need the water, especially in the summer. So that's to be reported on a later time by the Department of Public Works. We also talked about the Crapo Regional Landfill, and I think we made some real headway there. I'm going to report on that with Mr. Almy, and I also contacted Mr. Borgard from the landfill, and my first request is that we meet, once again, exploratory, don't represent anything, no decisions. Mr. Borgard was happy to meet with him and his director, and Rob and I, to find out the status of what we may be able to do, because there's a lot of choices that I think we have, but that's certainly something that no decisions of any mind is just, but I think it's prudent that we meet, and maybe we can then meet and then form a program with a certified group to go in next year to make this. There's a lot of options out there, and certainly this is not it's exploratory once again. More importantly than all of them is the CSO. I think we made some great progress on that. I followed up conversations with Mr. O'Neill, with Mr. Trapillo from Fairhaven, and Mr. Rasmussen from Buzzards Bay Coalition. And what I'm asking permission once again is that we meet just to try to set the table for future projects. The idea, as we talked about, is to regionalize the problem of the CSO. The mayor was open to it. He's getting it, the city is spending a small fortune on it, getting some funds as well, and that's a separate. But there's a real push to regionalize this issue. Real support from Rick's contact, Rick Trapillo, Chris's contact, Rick Trapillo from Fairhaven, who's really dug into this hard. So the idea is we're just going to meet once in December, just to kind of not waste the time, so we can then look forward to the first of the year to put a pedal to it and put a more formal project going forward.
All right, terrific. Sounds like you're
Great
making
news.
pretty good headway. We'll just have to, we'll keep you going.
Okay, important. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
Chris? I have a few things.
Okay.
First, I want to let folks know that tomorrow evening, there's naloxone or Narcan training at the North Branch of the library. It starts at 6 p.m. It's something offered through DART, and it is on the Eventbrite website, which you can sign up. Anyone 12 years old and older is able to attend. If you are sending a child of 12 and older, we recommend that an adult accompany them to this training. That's again tomorrow night, 6 p.m. at the North Branch of the library. Also, sadly, all of our teams have been eliminated from tournament play through Dartmouth High School's athletic teams for the fall. Our football team was the latest victim. They fell to Mansfield Friday evening, and they fought, and I say this because I don't often say this, but they fought against two teams, the Mansfield team and the referees. And I don't usually say that, but as my eyes were a witness to it, it was very tough. Our team held their heads high, did a great job. So I give them a shout out. Also, they will play their last game for the season against Fairhaven, Thanksgiving Day at 10 a.m. at Fairhaven. And as you may have read, Fairhaven is doing very well and going forth, so it should be an excellent game. Also, as we approach leaving Thanksgiving behind and heading into the holiday, the ho-ho holiday, I just want to say that Saturday, December 7th, before you come to the 4:30 tree lighting at the town hall, at Target that day from 10 to 1, it will be the DC TV telethon, and it will also be the Dartmouth Police Department's collection of toys right from Target. Anyone can stop in, offer a toy. We'll have buses, I believe, provided by Tremblay's, collecting those toys, and the toys primarily will remain in our community. We are working with the Council on Aging. I say we, I'm not really a part of this, but will be and one of Santa's helpers. But the Council on Aging will be selecting toys to help with the grandparents who financially find providing for their grandchildren to be difficult. The Council on Aging will help them.
Date again,
with-
Ms. Brooks?
I'm sorry?
The date again?
December 7th, Saturday, December 7th. So you can go there during the day and then come here on your way home for the tree lighting. So it's a full day of
Oh,
activities.
that's fabulous.
Saturday, December 7th.
4:30.
Yeah, and then just as a reminder, the Dartmouth School Department has published their list of holiday concerts, which you can catch in person at the high school and the middle school. All the elementary school concerts will happen actually after the holidays. So not only can you see them in person, but then they'll tape them and you can watch them over the holidays on DCTV. And my last mention is that the Dartmouth Drama Club will be presenting Elf. Several of the shows are already sold out, and that's also that first weekend of December, the 6th, 7th, and 8th. So if you want to see Elf at Dartmouth High School, get your tickets now.
Any concerts at the Cushman School this year?
There will be a lot of humming at the Cushman School is happening, but there will be no actual concerts.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? All right, the only one thing I have to shout out to is congratulations to the 8U team from the Dartmouth Youth Football League. They won the RISMA Championship against the New Bedford Bears this past weekend. Good job, guys. All right, with that, we have information. Mr. Carrero?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So the letter of support from, or recommendation from the Director of Special Services, Randall Bassett, Building Commissioner, to the Dartmouth Cultural Council, just noting that he did visit the site and make sure that the site was ADA compliable. He has been working with them one-on-one through this project, and he just gave some recommendations for framing and so on and so forth. The other informational piece I have is for Thursday, December 5th at 6:30 p.m. There will be a virtual meeting, and this is for the purpose of a hearing to provide the public with the opportunity to become fully acquainted with the proposed crossroad improvements from South Vincent Street to Pine Top Lane, obviously in the town of Dartmouth, and to review comments. So that is online and virtual.
We will have this notice posted on our website.
Yes.
And if you're looking to get the information, please call our office at 508-910-1813, and we can give you the information to you. Just one very quick clarification. Part of this project is looking for a 10-foot side path along the western side of Crossroad. My understanding of a side path is basically a path for bicycles. So it's a bike lane. So
Fancy word
The
for.
flooding, so that's the main
it's
piece
exactly-
that I
it's a
hear
fancy
about.
word. Yeah, it's a
fancy
fancy word for a
bike
bike lane.
Bike lane.
Yep.
I
So,
also appreciate Randy's letter, Randall Bassett, our Director of Inspectional Services. I appreciate his letter that he looked into the plans and saw that there could be a reduction to overall construction costs. And that is fabulous, and
Good
so
for
I
him.
applaud him for doing that.
He's
Thank
been
you.
working closely with them.
Yeah, that's great.
Shout
All right.
out to Randy.
Does anybody have anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. O'Neill. On the motion, any questions? Our next meeting will be Monday, December 2nd. On that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None unanimous. Good night, everyone.